Oh, that is the best way for us to start
That is
is suddenly.
suddenly.
Wrong song. You not
No,
church.
no, it was
You not
Billy
church.
Ocean. Wasn't it Billy Ocean? Suddenly,
No,
life
you not
had
church.
me.
That's not what I was gonna do. I was gonna be suddenly. What? You're not ready for that. You're
I
not ready for
wasn't
church.
ready. I was not prepared. Nor am I prepared
Neither
for
was
the
I.
technology. What's up with the technology issues today?
Listen,
Uh-uh.
because they don't want us to be great.
No, Jesus be
They
IT.
don't want us to be fantastic. So here's what's funny.
What's funny?
Um, there's a conference coming up, and I love that there's like nobody watching.
We're watching. Look, I'm watching you.
We're watching.
I
Here's the
am
thing,
watching
a
you.
couple of things. I have a couple of social meds complaints, if I can call it that. The social meds. We gonna
Well,
call it that.
okay.
Okay. The algorithm on different social media, if you don't use the right words and you're not doing the right thing, is like suppressing, right? Like it suppresses
Yeah.
posts, the whole nine yards. So like you can tell you're not getting any like traction, especially on like, whatever. But then, on top of that, for whatever reason, you're having technology issues. Ooh, I pointed the right way.
You.
You're having technology issues.
I'm having technology issues,
Um,
and we
and
never have
then
technology issues.
we never, and then StreamYard, which is what we're using, which came through in the clutch just now.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to go live at 7 because y'all know I love being on time, on
Too
the
much.
times.
All the
I
time.
love being on time. StreamYard was just like, hey, you can't go live right now because there's a bug in the system. I found that out later. So we're 14 minutes late on a 7 o'clock CST live.
Wow.
Yeah. So we may have lost to some views, but that's okay. Cause what's today, class?
Today is AJE class.
No, it's heyday. That's what I like calling it. I'm sure they
Heyday.
call it HAE day, but I call it heyday. Listen,
Hey.
I wore my shirt.
You know what? Now I gotta go change. Actually, I think
Why?
I washed well because I have a heyday shirt. Well, I have an awareness for a heyday shirt, or it's a
When did you
shirt.
get that?
Well, I did one of your runs or something. I don't know, but they
Oh,
sent me
you
some.
did. You did. I
Yeah,
think it was called Moving with HAE or something like that. I think
yeah.
you did that.
So
So yeah, that was
it's
really
somewhere.
cool.
I should have worn that, but then I could wear my flowers.
And you wanted to wear flowers today.
Wear flowers.
So listen, I have a
April
challenge
showers
for
bring
you.
May flowers.
We did learn that. What do Mayflowers bring is the question.
Hay fever.
I'm mad because that's what everybody has. So I have a challenge for you.
All right, I'm ready.
Here's your challenge. What was our
Mm.
elevator pitch from
For which
last
show?
year's HAE awareness day? What was the elevator pitch?
Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Can you ask me in about 5 minutes so I can go back and look it up and remind
Because
myself?
that is what I would have to do because I also forgot.
No, but it was
So when
good.
people, it was good. And what's
It
so
was
funny is
good.
that Judith McCoy had actually
She
given
came
it
up
to
with
us. And we were just like, that's amazing. That's bananas. And I have since forgotten what it was. And oddly enough, I have to, a lot of people are just like, hey, what is HAE? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, oh, there's this amazing elevator pitch
yeah.
that I don't like, I've completely forgotten.
Well, that
So,
just I think that gives us the opportunity to come up with another elevator pitch because
so maybe that is what our HAE awareness is,
Oh, do I see
I know,
there?
right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a HAE guest. And he's doing
First of all, I'm, I'm loving the whole.
right as she's coming in. So for those people that don't know, this is the first time that she's ever been on camera, and I promised her that after she turned a certain age, she would be able to come on. She's not this short. She
No,
is actually. I'm sitting.
disrespectfully long.
She's actually 5'10". You're 5'10". 5'9". She says she's
No
5'9".
way. I saw her in April. She was 5'10". She was 5'11".
And but this is you. People see me write about her all the time, and we talk about our experience. This is the uh, infamous
Ladybug.
ladybug.
Hi, Ladybug.
Hi, Gina.
So she said she was gonna. She said she was gonna watch us live. I don't know if she'll let me interview her or something like that for HAE Day. We're live, so
Yeah, like on the interweb.
on the internet. So maybe you can come back and I interview you, or maybe you go about your business. I'm not really sure how today is working for you. Okay, but you can't be shy.
I was gonna say you gotta be fabulous.
You got to be fabulous. Go away. And this is what children do to you, even from a young age. Like they do amazing things at home, and then the moment you put them on camera, or you say, "Hey, sing the song for the people," they don't.
Or was it you? It was somebody. I want to say it was you when you were little, and you did something crazy like drink from a straw at like a super early age. And then when somebody was like, "Oh yeah, she can drink from the straw," and you were just like,
That sounds like something that I would do.
it was so hilarious.
Thank you for bringing that up. So what's funny about this is that this actually kind of like low key forces us to talk about a couple of things. Obviously, HAE Day, the amazing organization that helps our family, which we absolutely adore and love and appreciate, and then maybe a little bit of doc and drama, scrubs and stage lights, because I know it's been I think a year since and some change since we talked about that. But we got to talk about HAE Heyday, May 16th. So here's what's funny. A lot of people don't know that May is actually it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also Angioedema Awareness Month.
So wait,
and so
is that for hereditary, idiopathic, all of the angioedemas?
That's for all the angioedemas. Yes.
Nice.
So that May is Angioedema Awareness Month. And then you have May 16th, which is Hereditary Angioedema Awareness Day. There's a lot. So Ladybug just asked me how many angioedemas are there. There's a lot. Like there's a lot. They're very specific kind, and then they kind of like branch off, right, from each other. Because that is why we have the resident doctor that can correct all of my shenanigans that I accidentally get myself into today. But hereditary angioedema, listen, we had an elevator pitch last year. We're going to attempt to make one again. It is the collecting. I'm already messing up. I'm already messing up.
You're making me do. Wait, the elevator speech needs to be like the person's in the 4th grade or lower. So once you start using compound words, we're already wrong.
Right. Okay. It is when the body is like, nuh-uh.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is when the body is like, nah, and you have to say it. Okay.
You got to say it just like that. What is hereditary angioedema? Oh, it's when the body is like, not today.
No, it can't be that.
No, it has to be a little bit more specific.
A little bit more specific.
And you would have thought that we would have written this down somewhere, and it never gets easier for me to explain, because a lot of people, when they ask me, especially about Ladybug and what she goes through, I still have a hard time explaining it. And what's funny is that we are miles from where we were. You know this.
Yeah.
Years ago, when we didn't even know what we were dealing with, and currently now we're on she's on medications that preventative medications that cut down on her flares. She has emergency infusions that I can do at home that cut down on her. Listen, because this theater person did not think that she would be doing IVs at home.
Straight phlebotomy.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go to medical school. You did. You went to medical school.
I went to medical school, but I still don't trust myself with people's veins.
Okay, we
Unless
won't say
somebody
that
else.
out loud. But you could if you had to. Like there was
If I had
training
to,
there.
sure,
You
yeah,
could do,
sure.
yeah, you know how to handle needles and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I had zero. Like I went from 0 to 100 literally in 3 hours because when they come to have to train you, because a lot of times you don't have enough time to get to the hospital, if the patient is or the person you're caring for, like Ladybug, is suffering
Mhm,
from some sort of angioedema flare,
mhm.
hereditary angioedema flare, you don't have time to get in the car, fight your way through traffic,
Yeah,
get there, wait in the waiting room. Like time is of the essence when the flare happens, right?
right.
And so they teach you how to give the medication at home, and you have a choice, but they teach you to give the medication at home. And I wanted to learn, and it took
Mhm,
about 3 hours for me to learn how to find a vein, stick it, put the push saline to make sure that it's clean,
mhm,
that there's a clean pathway there to make sure that I set the needle in place. It's a butterfly needle,
mhm,
and then push the medication. And for those of you all that follow me, when we had Rare Disease Day was this year. We have Rare Disease Week, which is usually the last week of February, but Rare
mhm.
Disease Day was February 29th for obvious reasons,
For obvious reasons.
right? Because that's rare.
Mhm.
And but it
Well, it's
takes
I mean,
about eight.
it's every 4
February
years.
29th is
Yeah,
rare, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's a rare occurrence, right?
yeah.
But then on I it takes about 8 to 10 minutes to push her medication. And that is because we have to push a little bit and we got to stop and
Mhm,
we got to push a little bit. The joint is really thick. I have to constitute it, which means that you have one bile here and one bile here. And there's this whole little system that sometimes it's great and sometimes it doesn't work. So you got to figure out other ways to do it. Like it's a lot. And so learning how to do that, I still am in a much better place and have way more hope, I
yeah.
think, than I did right when we first got this diagnosis. Because you've been walking this path with me, with us and our family since the beginning, when we were just like something's going on, something's
You know,
wrong with her.
I actually told you recently, I remember where I was when you actually got that diagnosis. I remember what
Oh
was happening,
wow.
remember where it was. And to this day, and I don't think I'll ever forget.
Wow. I don't know if I know that story. You said, like I told you before, like I'm supposed to know that. I don't remember that story.
Oh, I thought
Look at
no,
us
I
learning
remember.
new things. I don't think you told me that story. You remember where you, because I'm sure I called
Mhm.
you like
You did.
immediately.
You did. You called me immediately. I was actually I was not out of the country. I was out off the mainland, basically.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh
but yeah,
wow,
I
yeah.
was in Ponce, Puerto
Oh
Rico. And I
wow.
was just like, and I remember staring out the window like, okay, wow, this is something. But let me say,
This
it's
is
interesting
something.
in this far of your journey, you're doing so you're making the mistakes I think that healthcare providers make.
Ooh, what
And
is that?
I think it's comical actually.
I'm
You're
listening.
using all this medical jargon. It's like, okay, wait, we're gonna have to now in our lives and talking about hereditary angioedema, you're gonna have to start breaking it down like folk in the second grade or fourth grade or
You're
whatever.
right. So
Right.
here's what's funny. So I write for
Yeah.
bionews.com, which is like one of my favorite things to do. And I write for
Hmm.
angioedemanews.com.
Hmm.
And one of my columns one day was talking about how there are moments where I realize that the vocabulary that I have now when talking about HAE and what we have to do for it and the
Hmm.
diagnosis, I'm using all of the medical flower terms, like all of them. Like,
You
we're
are.
using, needle gauge and this and pushing this and splashback and yada yada yada. And so it's funny because I realize that when you are talking to like a layman, and which I am, but in this, when you are a caregiver or somebody with this, you turn into the expert,
You
right?
do.
Like after so many years. She was diagnosed officially in 2021, but a lot of people don't realize that we've been dealing with this since her very young age. So
Yeah.
the diagnosis was just like oh thank goodness, and then an oh no.
Right.
because we found out everything that went along with that. So listen, I see one person watching. If y'all are in the comment, y'all can send us a hello, a hi, so we know who we're talking to. We're just chatting. It is May 16th. It is HAE Day, which is the awareness day every year for hereditary angioedema. And I have committed to going live with my big sister every May 16th if we can. And listen, we almost couldn't today, but we did today. We
The
did
devil
today.
thought he had us.
Right. But yeah, so I've had to figure out how to, like, when people are just like, I will tell you another thing that's really funny.
Mm.
There are times when we hit what we learned, and we'll talk about that in a second. There are times where we hit what we learned are called cluster flares. And essentially what that is that
Wait. I'm going to stop you and back up.
yes.
We're gonna have to level set, Danita. Because literally I am listening to you as if I am a person who's actually watching, not as a person who understands where you are.
Well, I was going to explain what a cluster flare was.
You got to explain what a flare is first. Like, we got to back all the way. Like,
we got to back up. Okay. So hereditary angioedema is essentially when fluid collects underneath the skin in various places. No, we can't say that. Come on now. Come on now.
Let's break it down. There's a word, hereditary angioedema. What does edema means? All right.
Hereditary means it runs in the family.
It runs in the family when the body swells in different places.
And the body swells into so body swelling in a different place that apparently she got from some. Oh, we can't explain it.
she got it from somebody when the body was like, nah. Yeah.
Right. Right. When the body's like, right. So that's a flare. What a flare is, if we don't get a chance to prevent it, her body swells in various places, and she says that and here you come back, and she says, and it hurts. It does, because the skin on her body is not made to do that in the places, especially. She is more common to have flares in her face and her mouth. There are other dangerous flares that are life-threatening. She's had twice, and that is in this area, in the throat. They call it a laryngeal flare. Mm-hmm. And there's medication for that. And we are so excited that we have been privy to that. And she's still lamenting over the fact that when she did have a laryngeal flare and her throat was closing, and they had to put her in the PICU, the pediatric ICU. They had her hooked up to so much stuff. And her main complaint still to this day is that they wouldn't let her eat. And you can't tell the other story. For those people that are watching, Ladybug is actually sitting on the floor in the red curtain studio. If she stood up, she wouldn't be on camera. So
tell her stand up.
So the ICU, huh?
Tell her. Wait, just put the microphone down towards her.
She wouldn't talk into it. So she was mad that she couldn't eat. And she was actually angrier about that than all of the other stuff. And they did. Well, now I do want you to come up here and talk. Like you hated waking up every few minutes.
I got no sleep.
Come here. Teenagers. So, but she was upset that she couldn't eat. That was actually when her doctor who deals with her HAE, who is amazing, Dr. John Anderson, knew exactly what it was, because the medication that they gave her worked. And that is how we found out the diagnosis. Yeah. So it was a lot. So there are moments, I think, where not moments, we found out, and we'll talk about it in a second, when you and I have done some traveling for HAE this year. Exciting. All of us, yes. But we learned in one of our destinations that from another HAE patient, that a lot of times HAE patients can have something called cluster flares, where like you'll flare up on Monday, you'll get your medication and everything's fine, and then you'll flare up again on Friday, and then
Yeah.
you'll get medication, everything's fine, and you'll flare up again on, and that was actually a relief, because sometimes we go through that. And oftentimes when we hit those cluster flares with Ladybug, we have to take her to the hospital. I did not realize, because I still had to make a roundabout point to that, because we were talking about how my vocabulary has changed, my attitude has changed. I forget that when I'm out and about, we have a system in our house now. Sometimes my husband, who I refer to as hashtag the boyfriend, sometimes hashtag the boyfriend will be, on what we call the hospital run or the hotel run. Other times I will go, but there are times when it is so, I hate to use the word normal, but it's so normal to us that when
It's a
we
routine.
go, it's routine. It's so routine to us that a lot of times people will be texting me and I'm answering calls, and I know that she's comfortable. I know that she's safe. She's getting everything that she needs. There's nothing I can really do other than just be a support system there for her. So I'll be answering emails. I'll be answering, phone calls or text messages if I can't call or whatever. And occasionally somebody will be like, hey, is it cool? Like, where are you right now? And I'm like, oh, I'm at the hospital with Ladybug. And the whole conversation tone shifts, right? And people are just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And this, like, they're apologizing. And I forget that when you say that someone's in the hospital, that is a very traumatic statement for other people.
It
It is
is.
so routine for us in our family that it does not, I have not treated it, I think, with the seriousness that other people do, solely because it's a part of our everyday life.
I think you definitely, I think all of you are treated seriously. It's just you recognize that it's not a one and done thing for you. It's something that you kind of, it
That's
can pop
true.
up whenever. So you just got your mind right. You got your game face on basically, and you're just
That's
like, hey,
true.
no, just here we go. Let's do it. Where's your bag? Where's your blanket? Where's this? You make sure the other baby's got food. I
That is
mean,
true.
I,
That is
I don't
true.
think
What?
I don't think you're minimizing your experience at all. You're just living with it.
No, not at all. Hmm? You want me to talk about your Benadryl experience?
Yeah, those are funny.
I'm glad you find those hilarious. There are times where she does have, and there, we've talked to her doctor, and sometimes it's just a response that her body has. A lot of times when we get to the hospital and they're pushing different medications for her, and she'll go into these sneezing fits, and the only thing that can solve it is Benadryl.
Yeah.
And you will probably argue with me, because again, you're in the medical field. I will maintain that IV Benadryl is stronger.
Then taking a pill.
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna argue. That's by default.
Is that true? The IV Benadryl is stronger? It's got to be, because
No,
like,
if you take most medications, it's got to get past all the chemical stuff in your mouth. It's got to go down into your stomach, all the acids there. Like, it's all these extra steps, as opposed to putting the medicine dead in your IV. It's just like, boom, you're gone.
right. So
Yeah, of course.
she is one of those Benadryl IV recipients, because
Yeah.
you and we laugh about the fact that a lot of times, even when she had her tonsils taken out and they put her on really heavy drugs, and she literally woke up out of the thing and had a whole conversation with you like she had not been asleep. But for whatever reason, liquid Benadryl, it's like Giggle City. Like, it is, she finds everything hilarious. She has tried to have it's funny, she's tried to have phone conversations with you,
Oh,
even though she's not holding a phone. And then she'll go to sleep, and it's funny. But she finds it funny that she's finding everything funny, which makes everything worse. But those are little moments, I think, during her hospital visits that I think are just like, oh, okay, well, this is something that we can enjoy and laugh at.
I thought you were going to talk about when this is early. We're gonna send the link to her phone, and she's gonna
How about that? Like, you should join us.
just join us.
No, they
Find it
can't hear
in
you.
the background.
No, you're gonna stand up and talk into the microphone. No, tells you
You got to pick
can't do it.
one. So I thought you
Right.
were going to talk about when she was early in her diagnosis. She got sent to the hospital. They didn't really know what to do, so they kept throwing a lot of antihistamines. She was in the
That
ICU. At some point, they gave her so much medication that she had lower extremity paralysis. Her legs
Yeah,
stopped working.
her legs stopped working.
I don't even know if she
She
remembered.
doesn't remember.
And you,
She doesn't remember that. You don't remember
oh
that
my
when you couldn't
goodness.
walk, when you were in the hospital and you couldn't walk. She doesn't remember that. I remember that because I called you. And what happened was is that there was a disconnect between the information that I was giving and
Yeah.
the information that they were relaying, and pharmacy and the whole 9 yards. And this is one of those conversations about patient advocacy,
Yeah.
because ever since that moment, um, and we ended up, this was before we knew about HAE, but
Yeah.
they gave her so much medication, and she literally was like, I can't feel my legs.
Right.
And they were poking her with this test and poking her on her feet or whatever, and she couldn't feel anything. She couldn't walk. The feeling slowly came back.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You know what, Danita, the thing about it is nobody's going to hear her but us. And they're going to be like, what is wrong with them this year? Because we have her.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I remember when I was like,
yes, when I was paralyzed from the waist down.
wait,
Yes, she
does
remembers.
Ladybug remember when you were a whole black mama and you were like, ain't nothing wrong with your legs, get up and walk?
I
Until she
did,
started doing the
because
back
at first we didn't know, and then when they were poking her with needles, that's when I was like, oh no, something is seriously wrong.
Yeah.
It came back the next day. They kept her overnight. Came back the next day, but after that moment, patient advocacy, because
Yeah.
people hear it all the time, especially when you get in the hospital and you're just like, do you need a copy of the patient advocacy? Say yes, and then read it the first few times. I know that joint by heart now.
So
But
wait, so let's
demand,
what is patient advocacy? What are you talking about, Danita?
it is when, well, I don't know if you want my definition of it.
Of course. I feel like it's gonna be way
It
more.
is when you look everybody patient advocacy to me is when you just don't take everybody's word for it, and you demand to be heard or listened to when you are in a situation that you're just like, I don't feel like I'm being seen, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being heard. After that incident, every time we went back to the hospital, they would be pulling these medications out. I'm like, what is that? How much is that? How many milliliters is that? What are you giving her? And there's a way you go about it so much that now that we go in, people be like, no, we're going to do so and so. Is that okay?
Well, honestly,
Because it's you could literally, when you don't speak up, and
yeah.
I think sometimes people are afraid to speak up, or they think, oh, well, the doctor, and you have to understand, even with her, and I think you and I have talked about this before, her medical file is massive.
Yeah, I'm glad
And
you're on it.
when you're in the ER, a lot of times the doctors don't have time to review your file. And I think sometimes one of the most unfair things you can say to a doctor was like, oh, it's in my file.
My medical
You
record.
it
Yeah.
is, so you have to be an active participant and know your details. And
Yes.
so a lot of times when we would go in, before, they'd be like, oh, well, how much does she take of this? And how much does she take of that? And how much does she had today? And I was like, oh, I'm not really sure. I don't know. It's at least 2 of those pills. Now I got milligrams, dosages,
Milliliters.
do
Yeah.
you want the generic name or the or the brand name? Like, we know how to do that now. But it was a very scary experience that took us there.
Yeah, so I think it's
Yeah.
important for everybody to know that aspect of their health, their treatments. One of the things that I hate to hear is when somebody says, "Oh, I have high blood pressure and I take this pink circle pill."
Oh, yeah.
You know how many pink circle pills there are? And they don't know that this pink circle pill, what the name is, they don't know that when they take it, they have to take it every day. And that if it
Mhm.
stops suddenly, it actually could harm them more. What you're doing right now, Danita, with her HAE is something I think that everybody needs to be able to do. Know the medications, know what you're
Yeah.
getting, know what the side effects are. you
Yeah.
know, or if
There
somebody
was
gives
a time, so one of my favorites, so two things. What I love is that sometimes if I'm having a foggy brain day and we can be in the ER and they're asking all these questions because they ask every time, I literally can look to Ladybug and be like, tell them what you're on. And she's
exactly.
like, boom, 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 boom. Like she lists it herself.
Yeah.
And so we're getting comments, so I have to pull this comment up. Hi, Marla. It's welcome. We're so excited to see you. So Marla says, I know all of my shingles and nerve damage. Write everything down. Yes, a lot of people think they have to
Oh my
remember
goodness.
this. Put it in your phone. Put it in notes in your phone. With a lot of different diseases people have, they have apps for that. You know, that's not like a cliche. There are apps for that. Like
Yeah.
for even for HAE, there's an app where you can keep up with all the stuff that you're on. Look for it or create a little folder on your phone and
Mhm.
write all of your stuff down because it can be difficult. You know, it's one thing to know it by heart. It's another thing when you feel like you're being quizzed by the NERC practitioner in the ER.
Right.
And they're trying to write everything down and they're rushing, but you should know it well enough to be able to, and this is true, to almost teach it. So a funny story, we went to the ER one particular time. It was a high volume night.
Mhm.
We have to go to the pediatric ER, obviously, because of Ladybug's age. And when we went there, you know, her disease is so unique that when she hits the door, they already start putting it in because they know how long it's going to take because it actually has to come from the main pharmacy at the main hospital over to the pediatric wing of the
Right.
hospital. And so, um, high volume night at the main hospital, high volume night at the pediatric hospital. And so these wonderful, amazing nurses
Mhm.
walked in with boxes in their hands because the pharmacy literally was just like, here.
Oh my goodness, I remember
They're
this
just like,
story. I
we
don't know if you should
can't,
tell
like,
this
there,
story.
we are in the middle of so many crises, you know, over here. Here are the boxes.
Yeah.
And so this nurse came in and she was just like, I am so sorry, Miss Jones. And she was like, you just have to give us a second. We just got to figure out how to constitute this. And so they're opening these boxes and they pull out the directions. Now, for anybody that's never like seen like medication out the box,
Mhm.
it opens like old school road maps.
Mhm.
Like it's not even a regular size. So she's opening up this thing and it's like coming open. And we're sitting there. And like we said earlier, for hereditary angioedema, when you're in a flare, time is of the essence.
Right.
Her Ladybug's doctor refers to it as campfire or forest fire. And a
Right.
lot of times when a flare is small, it's a campfire. But the longer you let it go, it can turn into a forest fire. And at that point, you're chasing what you're trying to, you know, help. And so um they're unfolding this and they're trying to read the directions on how to administer this medication. And I'm sitting and I'm watching this thing happen. And I'm like, she's not going to get it in time. The words are this tiny. The paper is like 9 times a regular sheet of paper. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, I'm just like, and I step over to the nurse and I'm just like, let me do it.
Mhm.
And I think she was so overwhelmed. She was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And I constituted the medication for the nurse, got it into the syringe and handed it back to them because at that point they had to put it into the infusion. I was like, you can give it, but I can, you know, have to explain how to give it.
Right.
Again, the other thing, HAE is so rare that if you've ever been to the hospital and had to have an infusion or you've seen an infusion done, um, they have these machines and you probably know the name of them, but they put the syringe in the machine and the machine is supposed to like
The IV
slowly
pump.
give.
Oh, yeah.
It's an IV pump.
Pumps. Yeah.
What happens is the way HAE has to be administered, there's no
The way
function on the
HAE
machine.
has to be administered, or the
I'm
way the
sorry, the way the
medication?
medication has to be administered, the emergency medication has to
Yeah.
be administered. There's no function on the IV pump for the minimal amount of time that it takes.
Right.
So they put it in and then they can't program it. So it's easier actually to do it by hand. And so I always love getting new teams in the ER because I'll see them like put the thing in the machine and I'm just like, it's gonna beep. It's easier to do by hand. It's gonna beep, you know. You're tired of that sound. And so but they figure it out. Like we have a great relationship with the pediatric hospital here.
I miss the guy nurse I used to have.
Do you remember his name?
David, I think.
David the nurse. Shout out to David the nurse. Was Ladybug's favorite nurse. He was amazing.
You left?
He, you know, they people go and they get other jobs and that's okay. So for those of you that are joining us, it is May 16th, HAE Day. I am here with my big sister, Gina over there, Dr. Gina. And this right here is Ladybug making her first appearance. She said, oh, I love this on our HAE Awareness Day. Marla says, hey, birthday twin. Y'all have the same birthday. Oh, never mind. I know who that is. You all have. I don't think Marla have you ever met, or she probably doesn't remember. I don't think you've met the older version of her. And to all the people that are watching, I cannot stress this enough. And here's the thing: she's on her knees.
Just stand up for a second. Just stand up for a second. I saw her standing up.
Yeah, she's really close.
It's a pile of.
Here we go. You can see him right there. You ready?
Why is she sounding like an old person? Wow. Oh yeah. Hey, there she is.
I like my knees.
You like your knees better? Okay. So we're excited about, oh, she was little. That's what she said. She hasn't met her. She was little bitty. I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's about knowing. That whole story is about just knowing what to do and knowing how to advocate for yourself and not being afraid to step in, you know, and saying, hey, look, I can do this. Because again, it was less about me knowing what to do and more about knowing that I needed to get the medication into her system. And if we didn't do it right away, then we were going to, that was going to be a 48-hour or a 72-hour hospital visit.
Yeah. So wait, we gotta change the subject because you've been talking about your journey, the journey from the diagnosis to the journey where you are now, how you all are managing it, how you've gotten your routine. But you've talked a lot about the hospital, and she's got her favorite nurse, she's got her favorite, hospital room, not favorite, but she got to be there, at least have something that she's like, because it's frequent flight. Let's talk about the management of it outside of that comfort zone and the journey on moving forward. I want to talk about you all's first trip when you had to pack up with all those meds and what that looked like. And then we'll go to what it looks like now. How you went wrong.
So Ladybug is on to manage her HAE. We'll talk about that specifically. She's on 2 medications. One has to be given intravenously or with an IV.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
So directly into her veins. And that's the emergency medication, right? We only have to use that if she is having a flare.
It's emergency.
Yeah, in an emergency, if she's having a flare. The second medication is, I don't know if you heard that. She's like, and I hate it. The second one is what they call a preventative medication or just to keep the flares down. Like that's a medication. And that one has to be given into like we call it a subcutaneous, but like right into her skin.
Right under the skin.
It does. Now, the reason why she's yelling it burns is because we found out in one of our trips that it is made with a citrus base. So when it goes in,
she say, I told you.
No, she said, why would they do that to me?
Oh.
So what happens is that something with a citrus base, if you think about like if you've ever gotten like lemon in a cut, it's awful. And she has to get that. every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Why can't it be loving?
Into her thigh. But listen, we've grown because she can push it herself now. She doesn't like it, but I feel like sometimes it's better when she can push it herself because she can manage how fast she wants it to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that. And that is something that she takes every 2 weeks.
But we got to talk about how these are stored. What you?
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. So those are the medications. Those medications have to be refrigerated.
Yes.
Yes, they do. And so we have a small medical refrigerator that we keep in the master bedroom because I know my kids and I'll come out one day and because somebody was trying to put their Gatorade in the fridge, the Bariner is going to be condensation filled all right on top of the refrigerator.
Right.
So we keep it in the medical refrigerator, which is essentially like a dorm refrigerator that we just have in our room, real small refrigerator. And when you travel though,
yeah,
if we're going to go on vacation or we're going to go someplace where we're going to be for a little while, we always have to travel with the emergency meds, always. Mm-hmm. And sometimes have to travel with the preventative meds. So what I had to do was, first of all, I have a canvas cooler that keeps everything.
Nope. I am not going to let you start there. I'm going to go back 2 years when you all decided to go to Mexico and you all drove your wonderful, beautiful babies up here to stay with their
yes, for you to babysit. Yes.
And I promise you, when you all got there, there was this Flight of the Bumblebee run in with some sort of white, I don't know what it was.
Oh, the styrofoam cooler. Yes.
It was a styrofoam cooler.
That was the first traveling with HAE meds.
You ran
and
in,
that thing
stuff was wet. I was like, what is
because
this?
because with a styrofoam cooler, like nothing stays cold for real. Like we had stuff packed in ice. And it was a 12-hour drive. That was the issue. And so we literally like ran in and we're unloading all of these boxes into Gina's refrigerator.
They were wet from the ice.
The boxes were wet, but the medication was fine. That's really what mattered.
Medication was fine.
And then in addition to that, I also have to travel with the what do you call it?
The syringes.
In a different bag, I have to have all of the things I need in order to administer the medication. So all of the needles, all of the Band-Aids, all of the gauze, all of the tourniquets, all of the saline, all of the Band-Aid. Like that is its own separate bag.
Yeah. So I wanted you to stop there only because you all have to, I wish I could describe it better. But it wasn't like a regular cooler that you would see from a football. It was literally a white styrofoam casing that I think was right at the borderline of being at the high end of the cool, and just it was
well. And where we got it from. That's how the medication arrives to our house. It comes in that cooler.
Yeah, but not
so. That's what we were traveling. Well, the thing about it is that when they send us the medication, it's an overnight. They overnight it. They fly it. It's a one-day air trip, and they deliver it to the house in the morning. And you have to sign for it because gotta love how the pharmaceutical industry. You have to sign for it because if it's
you got to sign for
high financial costs. Yeah. And then from there we pull it in and it comes packed in this frozen gel, essentially in bags. And then we have to put it into our refrigerator when we get it.
But I'm pretty sure though that in that particular container, it is in a very specific refrigerated kind of something on the plane. So
yeah, I'm sure.
A little different. Now, that being said, you all did a big trip this year. And
we did.
How you brought that medication this year look way
Listen,
different.
That glow up was real, baby.
Tell me.
The glow up. So after we came to you, and it was the thing about the styrofoam cooler is that it's not malleable. you can't, like, it goes in first and then you pack around it essentially because it has to come. And I was just like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And it only is going to keep things kind of cold. And once it heats up on the inside, like it's a
Right.
wrap, like everything's going to
Right.
melt. So we went to the trusty Smiley Face website from A to Z.
From A to
And
Z.
I typed in portable cooler, literally. And I came across this amazing portable cooler. On the inside, it's made of this very specific material that, like, once it's cold, it's cold. It's like the Stanley Cup of coolers, essentially. And so you pack that, and it also has extra pockets so that I can pack all of the other supplies that I need around the edge of the cooler, so that instead of taking this for the medication and this for the actual supplies, I had everything in one bag. And it's, you know, it's a big bag, but it's so much more convenient. The trip that you're talking about, we flew to Panama for the International Hereditary Angioedema Conference.
Not Panama,
And
Florida.
it
Panama
was
City,
amazing.
Panama.
We were in Panama for 3 days.
Yeah.
And one of the things I loved is being able to just pick that. I packed the cooler the night before. You lay ice packs on the bottom, like, you know, pre-gel. You put the medication in the middle and you put ice packs on the top. I will not lie to you. I was terrified because we were traveling with drugs. We were traveling with drugs. And I was just like, this is going to be a hot mess at customs. It wasn't.
They didn't care.
You can't say that.
TSA, no issue.
Yeah, TSA. I was terrified.
No. The issue at TSA was you forgot about your real water.
I forgot.
That was coming back.
Oh,
But
okay.
no, but even going there, I was so hypersensitive about the cooler and the medication. That went through fine. They were yelling at me about, like, whose laptop is this? You're supposed to take it out of the bag.
Wow,
I was like, how are y'all upset about a laptop and not
Mhm.
the fact that, like, all this medication just went through?
Mhm.
So it was really, really great. And we learned so much information when we went to Panama.
Yeah, so why were we in Panama? Maybe Ladybug, she's sitting right there. Why were we in Panama?
You said what?
Why were we in Panama, Ladybug?
As for HAE convention, think.
HAE International Convention. Fabulous.
Fabulous.
On the plane, I don't like taking off for landing.
Yeah. Well, I will admit, so this was her first time ever on a plane.
Yeah.
And I have not felt turbulence like this, and I like turbulence. Like, the turbulence was on another level.
Yeah.
It really was. But she did it. She made it through. We had to land in Houston for a layover, and then we landed in Panama. We got picked up by the Hereditary Angioedema Association. They fed us well. It was just such a great experience. One of the things I loved is that Ladybug was actually able to meet other people at her age that had hereditary angioedema also.
Do you remember who you met?
And
I know the people. I don't know their names.
Because teenagers.
But you remember, what was your, like, when you met them, what was the one thing that you all talked about y'all had in common? Or did you all talk about anything that you were just like, oh, this is cool, or oh, this is not cool?
I mean, I met like 2 girls, and her friend was like had HAE, but she didn't, so she was just supporting her friend and stuff like that.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, they allow. We were able to just get so much, and we were able to meet a lot of people from the Hereditary Angioedema Association in person.
Yeah.
I have been on the phones with them. I have been in group chats with them. We have been in just being able to just getting great support from them. So to be able to see them in real life and hug their necks was actually amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I have to say, though, that this was my second trip this year where I tagged along with you for HAE.
It was.
And I look forward to your next ones because we were in Boston and then, of course, Panama. So very cool.
It's very cool. The Boston one, I think, was informative for us because
Yeah.
we were able to talk to other adult HAE patients. Obviously, the Panama one was for us. We talk about Ladybug having hereditary, no, I'm sorry, what they call it, HAE with normal C1, um, and normal C1 somethings. Oh, it left my brain just that
C1
fast.
esterase. So
That's
what you
straight.
would tell
Yes.
somebody is there's 3 common types. Type
Yes.
1, type 2, type 3, even though they've
Well,
abandoned that. They've abandoned
yeah.
that language.
They've abandoned that language, but that third type is actually the rarest type,
It is the rarest type. Yeah.
which is the type that she has because of course, right? But there were times where people would say to us, and I know you used to get this a lot, where you would say, I would say, oh, my daughter has HAE. And when you're talking to people in the HAE community, they're just like, oh, who, so you must have it. We're
Born
like,
type
well,
2,
no.
right.
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, and they're just like, well, does your sister have it? And we're like, well, no. And we've talked about on this channel before where we think that our mom actually suffered
Yeah.
from HAE, right? But
Yeah.
when you talk to a person in the HAE community, that doesn't make sense. They were just like, either you or your sister are going to have it. There's no reason for your mother to have it. You two don't have it, and then your daughter has it.
Yeah.
Well, in Panama, there was this doctor that took the stage. I cannot remember his name. And he was talking specifically about HAE type 3 or HAE with normal C1 esterase. And he made the comment that in the most recent research that they've done, they've discovered that it's a possibility that it skips a generation.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm sitting in the informational like
oh.
I think because you weren't actually in the sessions. You were like out and about because you and your husband were there. But I was live texting you like cry emojis because again, whenever you're in this journey, whenever
Yeah.
you learn new information that makes things make sense, it is such an eye opener.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel better about where you are in the journey because that's what it is. It's ongoing. And every step brings about some new epiphanies a lot of time. And so,
What I
that
liked about
was a thing.
I liked about that conference, there was 2 things that I that took away, and I didn't participate in the part that I should or could have, but they had an area for those who had HAE, different age groups. They had the caregiver side. They had the scientific side for providers. And
Yeah,
I think that's so important because, it manifests itself in so many different ways that it can be overlooked. It can be missed. Like at the
absolutely.
very beginning of her being diagnosed, it's just like, well, you have this symptom, or you have this symptom, you have this symptom, and all of those have their own little route to different diseases. But collectively, they will lead you to that road to HAE. And because it's so rare, a lot of providers don't think about it. It's not in the forefront of their head. So having
That's
that
so true.
scientific side for the physicians, for the nurse practitioners, I love that piece. I absolutely love that piece.
What I love too is that, because this was an international conference, there were over 19 countries represented. And one of the things that I realized is that a lot of times we kind of
We have
the
first world
frustration that we
problems.
have, huh?
I was gonna say, are you gonna talk about the first world problems that we have here?
Well, in our first world, a lot of times we're very frustrated with our medical system and our medical
Yeah.
issues, and we'll talk about the medical corporations and big pharma this and big pharma that. And I was meeting people from different countries that weren't even like third world countries. These are like places you would vacation
Yeah.
that can't get their HAE medication because some consulate didn't approve of the fact that it was even a real disease, or this particular patient that has to travel 90 miles or 150 miles or to another country just to get the emergency medication that may or may not be effective because they've had to go so long to get it, or another person in another country where they've done their own research and taken it to their doctor and their doctor's like, that's not a real thing. So
Right.
it was an eye opener for me as an American, literally United States, because I'm over here thinking that, oh, like,
I've been sitting in
Canada has
the ER
free
for 60
healthcare.
minutes.
You said what?
I've been sitting here for 60 minutes.
Right,
And they've
right.
only
And
done
we had the opportunity of meeting the head of the HAEA organization in Canada, which was really amazing. Like, and she, for whatever reason, remembered us even the next day at breakfast. But because there were like 600 people there. That's why that's such a big deal. But I in hearing her talk about the fight that she was in trying to get HAE medication to the different provinces in Canada. It's just like you in your brain, you're just like, Ladybug has an issue. I take her to the hospital if we run out of medication. They know what it is. She gets it. They keep her maybe a day or two, depending on how bad the flare is. We go home. All is right with the world, you know? Right. Hey, I go down to where we have to go see her doctor. He talks to her for about 30 minutes. He makes sure that everything's okay. Do a little, make sure that we have everything we need. Or I call this specialty pharmacy, and after answering some questions, the medication comes to my house. And there is frustration there. And you never want to take away people's frustration, but to hear how so much worse it is in other places was such an eye opener for me. And I'm
to hear
grateful
that
for the experience.
Actually getting medication. That was, I recognize the need for advocacy from a policy standpoint. From international medicine, global healthcare. So yeah, it was an eye opener for everybody.
And it was something that we absolutely needed. So you said something that I wanted to hit on before we say, well, we're so glad we had this time together. For those people that I talk about,
a Broadway person.
I am. Just to laugh at, that's Carol Burnett, honey. Just to laugh and talk and sing a song, right? The Hereditary Angioedema Association, which is something that you actually got me hooked up with, because I was very much in denial when Ladybug first got her diagnosis. I cannot stress this enough to anybody that is dealing with a chronic illness or chronic disease. Find your people.
Find your peeps.
It is one thing to have people that can sympathize with your struggle, that want to support you through that. It's a completely different thing where you actually are talking to a person that says, yes, this is the medication that I've used. It's a great way to kind of look into your future for, Ladybug as a teenager now, but to talk to people that are in their 60s and 70s that are living life and vacationing and going around the world lets me know that she's going to be okay. And you need that. Find your people. Find your people. So the HAEA, those are our people. And they are a nonprofit organization that truly, they do so many things. They create safe spaces for young children that have been diagnosed, teenagers. They have support groups for caregivers. They have all kinds of resources, whether school letters, ER kits, because sometimes people live in spaces where you don't have time to explain. You just need to hand them this kit that has all of the explanation in it. They have everything that you could possibly think of. And one of the things that both you and I love about the HAEA organization is that everyone that is either an administrator or part of the organization, either a caregiver or they have the disease.
I love that.
And so every time somebody answers that 1-800 number, you are either talking to an HAE patient or talking to an HAE caregiver.
They've been there.
I cannot tell you how much that matters. Yeah. And so once I got over my denial and my fear, because there's really what it was rooted in. It was fear. I called them and have been determined to be a voice for HAE patients, but also this organization that is out there helping. They were very instrumental in getting me and Ladybug to Panama. I'm unafraid to say that we actually went on a travel grant through that organization. They do stuff like that. And to be able to put Ladybug in a situation where she is surrounded by people who know her, not like by name, but know what she's going through is such a big deal. And so one of the other great things is they have scholarships that they award to HAE patients who are going to college. You and I met a young woman, I think, that was actually talked about being in college and having HAE and having to have that conversation with your professors about how one day you may be in class and one day you may not be in class for several days.
Yeah.
And you need the support financially. And so they have the scholarships that they award every year to several different students that have HAE, that do that. And they do all of this as a 501c3. So I encourage people there, whether it's Giving Tuesday or even May 16th, which is HAE Day, visit haea.org and donate to this amazing organization. It is a tax deductible. If you're in the middle of donating and they're just like, hey, do you want to donate in anybody's name? You're more free to say that you are donating in the name of Team Ladybug, because that's what they use. I love that they know who we are. I know when those emails come through that I know who they are. And we try to do May 16th, HAE Day. And then at least every year, we do a fundraiser. So this year, we've been doing the tea every year.
It's got wait. It's still going to be Tea Effect.
Tea Effect. Yeah, we're gonna do a little something different this year. I'm not gonna divulge what it is yet.
No,
but
don't
I
say
think
it.
it'll be fun for all ages. And it is, like you said, it's still Tea Effect, but it's a great way for us to raise money for hereditary angioedema, which we are absolutely in the business of doing. A lot of people ask me, why do you talk about it so much? Or, what is your goal? My goal is that we stop making it a rare disease, because sometimes I believe that rare diseases are rare because nobody knows what they are.
People just don't know.
And people just don't know. And so if your parent or partner or friend or auntie or uncle or sibling or whomever is experiencing symptoms and they are having difficulty getting a diagnosis, or they're having trouble getting a doctor to understand what they're saying, my goal is that I talk about it enough so that people can say, you know what, I have a friend.
And
I have a friend and I've had people do that. Yeah. I've had people that inbox me and they're just like, hey, what's that thing again? Because I think I have a friend that's dealing with that. And those are my favorite conversations to have, because the light was off for so long for us.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to turn the light on as soon as I possibly can for somebody else. And so that is what we do out here in these streets.
You do. Tell people that sometimes the body will be like, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. But you know what? If for those, I appreciate you putting up the haea.org. You not only can donate, you can actually find out more information about everything Danita talked about. Symptoms, you can find out about the disease itself. All of the scholarships she talked about is on there. All of the programs that they have and the way they support families. All of that is on. Oh my goodness, the glass. All of those things are on there. You all definitely check out the haea.org. And a real quick plug for all of those healthcare providers. You can get CMEs credits if you do some of the educational information. So that's a win.
You can become a certified advocate.
You can be that's a win-win for everyone in the HAE.
Win-win for everybody. Yes. With our little guest appearance from Ladybug that some people probably missed. So do all of those things. I cannot do it justice a lot of times when I explain it, because it's just so much. And sometimes I get a little nervous when people ask me like, well, how did you guys find out? Listen, that's you want to sit for 2 hours? Ask me that question. Ask me how we found out you had it, huh? You want to go out to lunch and have that conversation over a 3-course meal, huh?
How about that?
It's just so much.
I'm just so excited for you all, the family. I've seen the journey that y'all have been on. I'm just really happy that you are in this space. I know that the road may be different even moving forward.
True.
But I'm really excited as to where you've gotten so far. And in HAEA, Hereditary Angioedema Association, really
Yes.
has been supportive for you here on this earth and for a lot of people there. So you all check out that haea.org.
Yes. And ask all of the questions and do all of the donations. They have all of the different things that they do. I think they do have a movement day coming up, which is how you got your HAE shirt. So listen. Yeah. About time to drink that water. Get that water.
You know, I really, the next time I'm doing all right, so that I'm not.
We can't even see the top of the bottle green screen. Okay.
Well, no free advertisement. I really am going to have a better background because my piano, which nobody can touch, including myself, we got to change it up.
Got to change it up.
The next time we got to change it up before we do the next.
Listen, and we can. Are we going to be held accountable when we say that Scrubs and Stage Lights will be coming back this year? But it'll be live. 2024. But we're going live, y'all. We are.
We might as well.
We're going live. You know why? Because ain't nobody got time to edit.
Nobody got time to edit.
You got 2 and 3 hour days, huh? No, we don't have time to edit.
Nobody got time to edit.
So we'll be doing that and talking about Gina and Danita stuff. But anyway, you got things to do. I got things to do. We've had a few people visit In and Out. So we thank you for joining us on this May 16th HAE Day. It's HAE Day. Still a few hours left in HAE Day. Please visit Hereditary Angioedema Association, haea.org, to find out more about the journey that we've been on with Ladybug. It has been a harrowing journey, but we are way better now, you all, than we have been so many years before. Yeah. And now she is able to be an advocate also for herself, and that is a win-win. So it can be painful, it can be uncomfortable, there can be some weary days, but we are excited to go on because, you know, hey, we Christian, Jesus is my strength.
Yes, he is.
And we have an amazing support system. Amazing. I do have to give a shout out to my husband. I don't know why my voice is giving out, who has been amazing in this journey. A shout out to my other 3 children.
Yes.
Who are also amazing and have their own things that are happening in their own lives. Yeah. We are so excited because we have graduations coming up, and so it's just little things that I'm just grateful to be able to say and be involved in. But our family, my dad, like it's not your dad.
Well, you try to hog him even on your little post. You try to hog him. I know I'm his favorite.
Our father, and all of our friends, our mutual friends, and my friends, and the people that have just sent me great little notes like, "Hey, we see you're here, and we're grateful that you're willing to share your journey." So I'm thankful for that. So yeah, so that's HAEA Day. I don't know what we're gonna do next year. We'll figure something out.
For May 16th?
We may go live at May 16th next year. We may go live at noon.
I think we should go live at 16:16.
That's late.
4:16.
We're old.
4:16 in the afternoon.
4:16 in the afternoon. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
16:16.
Okay.
That's how you do it, right? Even though it's 5:16, 16.
16. Oh yeah. So we could do 5:16 in Panama. How about that? Anyway.
Sure. Let's do that. Listen, girl, we about to drink this water. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm glad to be here. As
You're amazing.
All right, girl.
All right, girl. We about to call it a night.